So in this Model 50 I've been messing around with, it came with this Hypertec HyperPort 2 MCA card, which gives you 3 serial ports and a parallel port. The 3 serial ports are nothing to get excited about because it uses the non-FIFO version UARTs, 16C450. They are capable of 115,000 baud, but because there's no FIFO buffer in those ICs, it will thrash a weak system like this 10 MHz 286, and you will get CRC errors when you're transferring files because the computer can't keep up with it. But it's stable at 38,400 baud, which I guess fulfilled its intended purpose back in the day. I dare say it was probably used for driving 3 serial dumb terminals, and this was used as like a server. Now this machine also had a token ring card in it, so that kind of makes sense. So perhaps this was in like a library or some kind of business where you had 3 serial dumb terminals used by users, and this was just used by, or not used by anyone, and perhaps was just acting as a little server. Now, of course, most of the cables have been lost over the years. I've never actually seen what one looks like. There's never been one photographed as far as I'm aware, but you can actually make your own. 44-pin connectors are readily available on AliExpress. I just bought one out, and I reverse engineered the pin out from the UART through the line drivers through to the actual port. Don't mind my atrocious handwriting, but if you want to make your own cable, the U numbers are the 3 UARTs, and I haven't worked out yet which one is the first through to the 3rd serial port because I've already closed up and filled that connector with hot glue. So yeah, from that side is all serial port, and that there is going to be the parallel port. I have not bothered to work that pin out. I might do that next, I might not. Probably what I would do, because soldering this was an absolute freaking nightmare, I would get a pre-molded cable and design my own PCB as a breakout board with the 4 ports on that, and then just 3D print an enclosure. That would be a lot tidier than that absolute nightmare going on in there. I'll just show you what it's doing right now. So on my Model 90, which is capable of far greater than 38,400 baud, I'm just sending a test file of about 4 megabytes, an old Wheatus song, over the serial port. And these do have 2 serial ports. I'm just using the larger one at the moment with my homemade null modem cable. We can see that it's going over here and connecting to port number 1 in my homemade octopus cable going into that HyperPort 2. And we are currently transferring with no errors, and the corruption of the time remaining is perfectly normal on this version of Telex when it's a massive file. Massive for this era anyway. But yeah, no errors. Sending or receiving, but if you go up to like 57,000 or 115,000, yeah, you're going to get constant CRC errors because that receiving terminal just cannot keep up. But yes, it is working, possibly for the first time in over 30 years. And you do not need any special software to initialize it, it just works as long as you have the pin out correctly. One thing of note is the configuration in the reference disk. The way I got this set up at the moment, I've disabled the onboard serial, and I have configured the ports 1 and 2 on this to act as normal comms 1 and 2, using the standard or industry standard port addresses and IRQs. That is not how it is configured automatically. And it will not work if you leave it with the automatic config. You need to go in there and play with that. The 3rd port, unfortunately, it doesn't let you use a standard port address, and it's like starting with 3000 and something. And the same thing happens with port 2 if you don't disable the onboard serial port. And yeah, DOS does not allow you to access those high port addresses. Perhaps it needed some driver back in the day to work properly, but just using the standard port addresses for the first 2 ports is working fine. Windows does see that third port at the higher port address number, but if you try and use it, it actually locks up the machine. So I'm guessing there was definitely some drivers required to fully operate that card properly. And before you ask if there was any software remaining on this machine for that Hypertec card or what it might have been used for, I will answer that with a simple image. Sadly, there's no way there's going to be any data recovered from that thing. It is the usual bad idea of having a frickin' vent directly above the disk, the top disk surface, which results in humidity entering the drive and destroying the surface directly below the vent, as you can see there, with pitting. And then a fragment of that magnetic recording coating ends up trapped under the head and grinds a nice circle into the remaining surface. So yes, if you have any of these, I'd be putting tape over that hole, because it's only a matter of time before it destroys that disk, particularly if you're keeping it in a bad environment.